What I really wanted to talk about was experience that I've had recently of high levels of anxiety um, and the experience of flooding, actually, where you find yourself in a situation that you can't really avoid, and you have no choice but to face it. Um, and what that's like. Life can throw us lots and lots of curveballs. Um, and that's definitely happened to me in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks or so, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not too sure how long it's been really. Um, Basically, it was due to somebody very close to me being in hospital, and there was quite a large amount of emotion involved with regards to feeling very, very shocked and concerned because of the prognosis, which was really drastic and dire. And suddenly, we all had to kind of race to the hospital and see him and be there for him. But that was a challenge for me because of agoraphobia, um, a massive challenge because of so many different factors. I have um, emetophobia, which is a fear of vomiting. I also have agoraphobia, even though it's not extreme in the sense of being housebound, and I'm quite independent and manage it very well. I suffer from panic disorder within that, and also I have health anxiety. Um, and I absolutely, really do not like hospitals one bit, in the sense that being in a hospital triggers an awful lot of anxiety for me. So basically, was plunged into this situation, and I tried to build up to it gradually, but that didn't work. um, it had to be done, had to kind of go, be there. And I think what happens sometimes with agoraphobia is at the beginning, when you have to face a challenge, you will rise to it. And I did. I did rise to the challenge. I did manage to, the very first time that I went, because we were suddenly called in, um, because my friend was told that he would not live. And so that was an incredible shock. And we all went, the family and myself. And I went in kind of rush hour traffic, which immediately triggered anxiety of the highest level that I'd had for a long, long time. So I basically plunged myself straight into it. So I was flooded with adrenaline and all the other normal hormones. And I felt I had a panic attack as soon as I got there, um, in the car park. I'm emetophobic and I thought I was going to vomit. I tried to get up the steps and I was helped. Not helped as in somebody held me or anything, they just were with me. And I struggled, I couldn't breathe. I got into the room, I saw him, huge loads of emotions. But I had a panic attack again when I was in there, and I ended up having to leave and come home. And then I was really bad. It was one of the worst panic attacks I'd had for the longest time ever. But when you're faced with something like that, where it's someone that you really care about a lot, you know that you have to be there for them, and you don't want to be thinking about yourself. You want to be thinking about them. So I then persevered, and before I knew it, I was going to the hospital once or twice a day, um, and each time I would feel really bad with anxiety. I would cover it up. I'd be there, but not really want to be there because I never felt safe. I was triggered by every single thing that was there. as in the nurses, the smells, everything. Just trying to walk there, I felt like my legs wouldn't work. It was really, really incredibly hard. But I've always been somebody that would rise to a challenge. So, and also I wanted to be there for this person that I care about so much. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because I wanted to talk about flooding and agoraphobia as well, because what I did discover and what I have discovered on this journey is that even though I was going to the hospital and going through all of this and being triggered so much that people around me didn't understand at all, that's okay. I faced that a lot, and it made me feel incredibly alone, and they still don't understand. And now what's happened is my friend is still in hospital, and what happened then was I basically had flooded myself to the extent that it became too much. I couldn't do it. I was struggling to do it without panicking, whether it was just driving in the traffic, whether it was trying to find somewhere to park that was close enough to the building, whether it was entering the building that's so big that it got to the point where I couldn't even get to the stairs, that I would feel really, really bad every time. And what I'd managed to do was the opposite to exposure therapy, which is the gold standard therapy, really, and it always will be for agoraphobia. And it's what I would always say is the best thing to do. Sorry, missed my head then. I was doing the opposite of that. I was flooding myself. And even though in life, you know, sometimes we do have things that happen to us, like I said about curveballs being thrown at us, I do not recommend flooding. I would recommend that if you find yourself in a situation like I have, where you need to see somebody, you need to do something, you have to do something regularly, that you do get support and don't do what I did, because what I've actually managed to accomplish is I've made myself worse. I know that you can come back from a relapse. We all come back from relapses. But unfortunately for me, it's become so hard now that everything is becoming difficult now. And I've gone backwards quite a lot with agoraphobia because of all that I was trying to do. And I was going once or twice a day, and now I've not been at all week. And I've tried to ask for support, but there hasn't been anybody there to support me. That there is now, but even that I'm not sure I can do, and I don't want to let anybody down. And then you feel like you're letting yourself down. So I don't really know why I'm doing this video, apart from to say that I wish more people could understand how tough it can be. I've had agoraphobia for 25 years, and in that time it's fluctuated wildly. But at the same time, it's not. The fears are still the same. There's only so much I feel like I can do. A brick wall comes up of my own making, which I can't get beyond. And white knuckling through it isn't the answer. Distraction neither is the answer. Although I've had to use these things like distraction and trying to find a way through it, because I wasn't really thinking about the techniques that I needed to use, but to be there for somebody that I really care about. But I do wish that more people took time to understand the gravity of high levels of anxiety and panic attacks. I wish more people would, at the very least, read something on it. I mean, you know, I've faced so much ignorance during this time, this last month. It's unreal. And I know that one day I will overcome agoraphobia. It may not be right now, but I know it will happen. But at this very moment in time, I wish I could do more with the way that I am. But what I've ended up doing is the exposure has been too much, and I've exhausted myself, made myself unwell, lost a lot of weight. So if anybody ever tells you just dive in at the deep end, I would say don't do that. Because I've got a background in trauma too, I've re-traumatized myself in many ways, which can happen sometimes with people with trauma, and that's not a good thing to do. So it's like really it's taking baby steps, and often I'm in a situation here where I can't take baby steps. It's either you go or you don't. Really, you can't just like walk into the entrance and walk back out again. Well, maybe you could, maybe I could, but it would take a lot of energy, and I suppose right now I don't really have that energy, but because I've exhausted myself. So really, I think this is just a personal reveal. Follow the graded exposure therapy. I always would say about following somebody like the Anxious Truth, which is Drew, because he's fantastic at that and knows exactly what it's all about and has loads of empathy and understanding of what people like myself and others go through. So the Anxious Truth is definitely fabulous. And graded exposure therapy, where you have like a hierarchy and you gradually expose yourself and stay there until the anxiety begins to diminish. Of course, I've not been able to do that because I've just been flooding myself, but that's what I would always recommend. So I'm going to carry on. I'm going to keep on trying. Despite everything, I'm still going to keep trying. And I just wish that people would become more aware of all that happens for somebody with agoraphobia, that even though they might be smiling and they might look as if they're okay, they're actually not okay. And that the suffering is inside. And that I have learned over 25 years to cover it up fantastically well. But it's not easy. And that's it from me. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I am wearing clothes. Yeah, see. So I look a little bit naked. But anyway, love to you all.